And so really, to kick it off, as I said, we're going to start with funding. And we've got a series of speakers who will all be talking sort of actually very briefly, we'll keep the pace up here, about new funding opportunities. And we're going to start with Ben McKern-Wilson from YouTube.
Hi there, good morning. First of all, thank you to DocFest for the invite, and thank you first of all for putting me on the bill so early. I think that's increased my nerves rather than reduced them in such an august gathering. I've got 7 minutes basically to give you a whistle-stop tour of YouTube, what we're doing in documentaries, and also more of what we're doing around new funding models, and in particular the announcement last year that we've made of moving into channels and creation of channels on the platforms. So I'm going to rattle through those three things. YouTube basics, just some of the facts about how big we are as a platform and what we're seeing in terms of consumer behavior. Secondly, try and talk you through some of the changes we see on the platform in terms of content creation around documentaries in particular. And then finally, just a bit on the channels process that we're going through here in Europe. So where to start? I mean, the first thing to start with is that YouTube is big. We've got 4 billion views a day on the platform globally, and we've got, in the course of a month, about 800 million unique users around the planet. Now, in terms of kind of trying to put that in some kind of meaningful context for people, that's 3 billion hours of content that are consumed on the platform every month. That's half an hour in a month for every person that there is on the planet. So we're very large in terms of video consumption. But the smallest number in terms of our kind of performance figures is for me the most significant and probably presents the greatest creative opportunity to the people in the room. And that number's 72. And 72 is the hours of content that are uploaded onto YouTube every minute. So that means there's more of an hour of content being uploaded to YouTube every second. That means by 2 weeks from now, there'll be more content being uploaded onto YouTube than's ever been created in the TV and film industry in the UK since it began. That's wonderful. That's a thing that we're blessed with, both on the consumption side and on the upload side. And that content is of, as you will expect, varying quality, varying types of content, everything from a wedding or a bar mitzvah, or in the case of the Arab Spring, the 100,000 hours of content that were uploaded in 2 weeks when the government there actually took the internet offline altogether in 5 days. And whether we like it or not, and whether you like it or not, we are the world's video sharing platform. And that presents great strengths for us and opportunities for you, and it also presents great challenges. And I want to start by just going through some of those. So in terms of the strengths, we're a social platform. That's what we are, and video is a fundamentally social medium. Just under half of our traffic, about 45% of our traffic inbound on a daily basis, comes from a social action. It comes because one of you emails a link to your friends, you post it on your Facebook page, you tweet it, you embed it on your blog, or you share it in another way. Genuinely, 45% of our traffic is social. That's a wonderful opportunity for people who are trying to build interest in a topic, trying to engage an audience around it. And in terms of, we're very open, we're very porous, we work with everyone. We're owned by Google, but we work very closely with Facebook. Facebook will today deliver about 500 years of viewing to YouTube as a platform, today, from Facebook. The second thing we're great at, and we need to be good at, is search. We're the second largest search engine compared only to Google, so only compared to our parent. And with the 72 hours of content being uploaded every minute, you need to be good at search, because in order to get people to find the piece of video that they're looking for, we need to be great at that. And the third thing that we're good at is the thing for all of you who've used YouTube is what we would call the related video algorithm. It's the little mosaic that comes up at the end of the video that you've been watching that says, here are, depending on which group you're in, here are 10, here are 15 other videos that you might like to watch. That algorithm is so effective that it keeps about a third of our audience there 10 videos later. So people will tell you that I went onto YouTube and watched a video. Let me tell you, I see the stats every day. No, they didn't. There's very few people who come onto YouTube and just watch one video and go away. And we're very good at being able to engage an audience in other kinds of videos as they go forward. But the challenge of that kind of social strength that we've got is discoverability. It's being able to find great content. In those 72 hours, sure, there is the wedding video, there's all sorts of other stuff, but there is great content. And being able to help our consumers find that is driven by the three things that I just set out, so the social, the search, and the related video. But also increasingly, we've begun reorienting our site around channels, putting brands and organizers of content around particular themes of channels kind of front and center in YouTube as a media consumption experience. And that presents a great opportunity for the likes of the audience in this room. So the second area I wanted to cover was just around YouTube and docs and factual, because all too often other people have slides of a YouTube video with a dog on a skateboard in it, and I kind of wanted to kill that one. It's absolutely true. There's a huge range of content. You can pretty much find a video of pretty much anything on YouTube if you, provided it's within our kind of community guidelines, if you search hard enough. But the truth is it's an incredibly creative platform, and actually in documentaries and factual, we've seen some people in the market leading that both in terms of how to engage the audience in content creation, but also how to drive consumption or experience of a piece of content. And I'll give two examples, and I'm sure everybody in the room will be familiar with them. But Life in a Day, which has had 95-minute film, has had 36 million views on the platform since it was released on YouTube. It was obviously created on YouTube as a platform, as was Britain in a Day, which we're all going to see on BBC Two, and that's already, I think, had about 500,000 views on the Britain in a Day site. So it's a phenomenal platform for allowing the upload, the creation of content into a narrative that's then told by somebody who comes from the documentary background or from other backgrounds in terms of weaving that content into a story. So we're phenomenally strong at engaging with the likes of you and the general creators in the population. The second example, and you may or may not like the content itself, but it's a great example in terms of demonstrating how people can engage an audience on YouTube as a platform, was Coney 2012, which in the space of 3 years, whether we like it or not, is this year's and probably forever's most quickly viewed video, a 29 and 59-second video that was viewed in the space of 3 days by 85 million people and had very, very, very low drop-off rate. So one of the things we're able to tell you is when people stop watching, not just that they stop watching, but as the owner of that video, you see data on when did they drop off, what did they like, what did they stick with us for, and at what point did they choose to share or like that video. We can give you that feedback as what's really working, what elements of your content are really working and engaging with your audience. So we're a platform absolutely for engaging with the audience, for testing ideas and appetite, and for soliciting contributions. We uniquely bring that strength, and it's open to all of you to use. The third thing and the final thing I just wanted to go through is the channels and funding. I guess the first thing is the big disappointment. YouTube doesn't commission shows. We're a platform. We're not great. We're great at engineering. We're great at building things that scale. We're great at allowing you to share with everybody on the planet. We're great at enabling you to make money from every view from everybody on the planet. We're probably not going to be simultaneously great at all those things and great at picking great content ideas. But what we've become is a platform that has allowed a number of people to begin building their own channels on our platform, finding an audience for those channels, engaging that audience, and then monetizing that audience. And that's happened has happened naturally without any intervention from us in a range of areas. So names you may not be familiar with, Machinima in gaming, they have 1.5 billion views a month. That would make them the largest or second largest cable channel in the United States. 1.5 billion views for gaming content. There are others in other genres, Wall Street Journal as well. Last year in October, we announced an initiative in the US where we were going to start pump priming, so funding, advanced funding, a number of channels where we were looking for partners, and we ended up with about 120 channels in 18 different genres, where we were bringing partners in who were going to try and bring content together around a particular theme and engage an audience around that content. And we've begun that process in Europe, in France, Germany, and the UK. We're running it on a smaller scale. Initially, we were told, maybe we should wait until the end of the US process. Let's see how that's going. We've pushed hard to get out of the blocks quicker here, and that's going fantastically well. And we've again seen strong pitches in a number of genres. Have we yet seen the fantastic pitch in documentary? Have we yet seen the idea that says, absolutely, these are the people that can bring factual documentary content to life on YouTube? I'm not sure we have, and it could be It could come from one of the established players. It could be 4OD that already has 16 million views on the platform. It could be Dispatches as a brand. It could be Panorama as a brand. Or it could be the DocFest themselves or BritDoc or others. We're absolutely open to finding somebody in the way that TED, who've now got 150 million views on the platform for very serious content, have engaged an audience, created the audience on our platform. We're really looking forward to finding the same person who can ignite that such that we can deliver value to you guys as creators. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. And next up, we've got Sally Johnson from Screen Yorkshire.
I have 3 minutes to give you a rundown of our new fund. If you're not familiar with who we are Screen Yorkshire. For 10 years, we've been part of the network of English regional screen agencies, which was abolished in 2011 following a change of government, along with the two main organisations that were responsible for supporting a regional infrastructure for content in this country, Film Council, and in this region, Yorkshire Forward, which was a regional development agency. So following the abolition of our network, we relaunched Screen Yorkshire at the start of this year with an entirely different remit. And our remit now is that of a content financier, and we finance content across all platforms. This is the only regional fund operating in England. It is a £15 million co-investment fund. It's only 4 months old. £15 million co-investment fund means £7.5 million has already been secured from the European Union, and that money is matched on a project-by-project basis with commercial money, with private match funding. And as I said, it's available for content across all platforms, film, TV, games, and digital, including apps, mobile, tablet, web, connected TV. This is not soft money, it's not grant, it's not a loan. It is an investment fund that requires a return. So we look on each project to make a commercial return. But it is an incredibly flexible fund, provided you can demonstrate a return for revenues, and provided we can get private match in there, we can invest in projects in a whole range of ways. So it is very flexible. To apply for it, it's open to companies who are based in this region or who are looking to establish a base for the purpose of that production or longer in this region, or who can co-produce with Yorkshire companies. The whole point being to bring benefit to the region that Sheffield is part of. There are 3 types of companies that we will probably invest in. The first is companies who are developing their own original IP. Secondly, companies who have a license to exploit pre-existing IP. And the third area is for new startups now with a prototype, where the prototype has already probably been tested for its market, for its viability, but where companies are trying to take it to a new level. Cross-platform content development is the big push for this fund. Film and TV we've done for 10 years. The big push is the critical area, developing new and innovative business models. So if you are involved in developing content, please come and talk to you. We are looking for your ideas, and we'll be around all day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, could we please welcome Frank Boyd from the Technology Strategy Board.
The Creative Industries Knowledge Transfer Network is one of 15 knowledge transfer networks across different sectors of the economy. And our job is to accelerate innovation, primarily acceleration driven by developments of new technology. So at the moment, we have a number of core themes, which are one around convergence. We are funded by and work very closely with a government agency I'm going to talk about in a minute, the Technology Strategy Board. But we also do other programs. So we're running at the moment, we're beginning to run a program of innovation labs. We're doing one on fashion and games in Belgium later this year, and also one on kind of digital culture, the application of digital technology to archives and collections, which we'll be doing. We have a theme on finance and investment. We're developing. There is a real problem at the moment around connecting investors with creative businesses. There's a job that needs doing around education on both sides of that equation, and we're trying to develop a format which has got the working title of a risk stream. We just did our first in Cambridge at the Judge Business School. We're doing one in York next month, and we're doing one in Mumbai in October. If you're interested in participating in those, please do let me know. Our third key theme is around kind of, if you like, issues of putting the user at the center of design processes, so experience-led innovation. We're working, again, with the Technology Strategy Board on a major funding program they're doing at the moment around the Internet of Things and the importance of putting user-centered design techniques at the heart of that process. Also on a program around future cities and on health. And we've got a program running on business models, looking at innovation in business models, looking at new rights frameworks, where we're working with Hooper and in the context of the recent Ian Hargreaves report. And we're doing a lot of work, which is an area which the Technology Strategy Board is particularly interested in, looking at new kind of business models that arise from cross-sector and multidisciplinary collaborations. As I said, we're funded by the Technology Strategy Board. They are the only game left in town, really, when it comes to major central government funding for business-led innovation. They've invested over £2 billion over the last 2 years across a number of sectors of the economy. They don't engage very well with SMEs, and particularly not creative SMEs. And the problem there is kind of in the title, which is they are the Technology Strategy Board, and most innovation for creative SMEs is not necessarily driven by technology. Technology is something that comes after the main driver, which is the creation of new experiences, the telling of stories, or whatever it may be. So there are difficulties at the moment for creative SMEs, and I won't make any bones about that, engaging with the TSB. We are trying to change that. We're trying to get them to see that they need to take a different approach in this sector, but it's early days in achieving that. They are one of the kind of interesting programs that they announced last year is a program of establishing a network of technology innovation centers called Catapult Centers. There are two that we're involved in. One, which is again got a major focus on the creative industries, is one for what's called the connected digital economy. That will be, each of these catapults will be will get an investment of at least £50 million over the next 5 years. And the idea is that they're actually the total program is worth in each centre is worth £150 million over 5 years, because they'll attract other funding. The competition I particularly want to talk about today is one that's aimed specifically at the creative industries. It's called Convergence in a Digital Landscape, and it's got £1.8 million in it for feasibility studies. There are 3 challenges in the Convergence in the Digital Landscape competition, with £600,000 in each. The first was on hyperlocal media. We did that as a collaboration with Nesta, and that has now closed. The next is on tools for cross-platform production, and that will open next month. And the final one, which will open in September or possibly October, will be around metrics and analysis. So these are things we've identified as being kind of key issues at the moment in the development both of products and services and of markets in the kind of convergent media landscape, particularly where it relates to cross-platform production. So we're particularly interested at the moment in inviting people to think about applying to the Cross-Platform Production Fund. As I say, the Technology Strategy Board doesn't fund content. But it may be that, for example, you get an award from Sally's fund, and that in order to create the content, you actually need to work with a digital agency who is going to build some tools for you. in which case you could apply to the Technology Strategy Board for this fund. So likewise, if there are any of you who are involved in innovation in this field, you're trying to find new ways of creating experiences, and you're building tools as part of the creation of those experiences, this is a fund you can apply for. The total cost, the maximum sort of sum for each project is £75,000. The application can be from a single company or from a collaborative consortium. The TSB will give up to 75% of that £75,000, so up to £56,250 of public funding. The competition opens on July the 16th, and the deadline for applications is the 22nd. I'm afraid I can't stay very long this morning. I have to go back to a meeting in London this afternoon. But should you wish to know more, there are some URLs. You can contact me on Twitter through @Fernboy or on email. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Frank. Next up is Tom Zeeson from the Wellcome Trust.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know who the Wellcome Trust are, we are a charity and we are a charitable foundation. We're primarily interested in trying to improve human and animal health, and we primarily do that through research. However, we realise that science is not something that exists in a vacuum. If we want to improve people's health, we need to engage people with that science. And so one focus area, and why I'm here today, is exploring medicine through historical and cultural contexts. And so one of the ways we used to do that in the distant past was face-to-face meetings and getting to very few people who were already very engaged. So what we're wanting to do is use more mass media products through Biz Reports and Wellcome Monitor. We know that television is the primary source of science information, but increasingly people are using other platforms and other types of content other than video. So we're interested in supporting games, and we know that consumer attention scores are higher when playing games than watching TV. We've got a variety of ways of supporting this kind of content, and that's through grants. And we have development grants of up to £10,000. We have about 20 to 25 of those a year. And they can be for TV, they can be for games, they can be for all sorts of different content. An example of Great Sperm Race was £8,000, but that was actually produced for £8,000. We have People Awards, which are grants of up to £30,000. Again, any type of content, and it can be for production, it can be for distribution of things that are already produced. And we have a very limited number of broadcast and gaming co-production awards of up to 200k. And again, those are actually by invitation only. Great Sperm Race game, just whilst it's on the screen, was a Channel 4 programme which we funded, and then we produced a game afterwards for a tiny amount of money that got far more plays and actually led a lot of audiences to watch the film as a result of the game rather than the other way around. I'm rapidly running out of time. So to apply for funding, very key for us is that you have the right scientific information. So do make sure you're collaborating with scientists and tell us why your idea is of interest to the audience rather than just of interest to you. There's various things we can offer, like advice before applying, so do come and talk to us about your ideas. And we can sort of help you with commissioners, try and sort of get you together with our other content, our film archive, our collection. And I've got 5 seconds left, so I'll just point out that 94 Elements is a project that we funded early on. It's a great online platform. It's got a lot of great video content, and there'll be more video content. Go and vote for what that should be on Saturday at 12. Roots, I'll just point out Ginger Dawn's great game that's a part of this project in a collaboration with Channel 4, where you can play a ginger person trying to breed as many times as possible out in the sun to spread your ginger genes before getting sunburnt. Jamie's Dream School, we supported sort of various things with that. And apply for money for us. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Tom. And the final speaker in this section on funding is Ingrid Kopp from the Tribeca New Media Fund.
All right, I also have 3 minutes. Hi. So I'm the new media consultant at the TFI New Media Fund at the Tribeca Film Institute in New York. This fund was started last year, so we're in our second round at the moment. And it's supported by the Ford Foundation in New York. And what we're trying to do is figure out ways to support non-fiction, interactive projects around issues of contemporary social justice and equality. The grants are $50,000 to $100,000, and we support 4 to 8 a year. But one of the things that's we found really key about this is because we're sort of still figuring out what interactive non-fiction projects look like, is the workshops, the mentorship, and the support that we create around the project. So we actually get all our grantees together on Google Hangout to sort of like figure out what we're doing every month. So there's a lot of peer-to-peer support. We put them through a lab, which we actually did with Crossover during the Tribeca Film Festival. We did a TFI Interactive Day. So there's just a lot of sort of like work and sort of reporting back to the field about what this looks like. And the reason it came up is, you know, the Tribeca Film Institute's been involved in funding documentaries for a long time, but the audience has changed, as I'm sure everyone in this room knows. And so, you know, a lot of the reason that Ford and Tribeca sort of figured out how we could sort of rethink documentary storytelling is really looking at the audience, or the people formerly known as the audience, looking at what they're doing and sort of thinking about how we can reach them with new kinds of non-fiction storytelling and reach them where they are with the things that they're using, with the iPads and the iPhones and the games and the web, of course. Because obviously we've gone from this to something more like this. If my Photoshop skills were better, they would be a Kinect and, you know, the iPhones and everything in the room as well. But obviously people are using more media than ever before. They're interacting with me. I mean, as you heard from about YouTube, you know, people are spending more time with media than they ever have at any time in history, but they're using it in incredibly different ways across lots of different platforms. And we want to make sure that the craft of documentary storytelling is there. And it's a challenge. You know, we've got, for me, it's like the most exciting place to be in terms of funding and creating because of the challenges. But it's definitely a challenge because you can't win like you can in a game unless it is a game, and we do fund games. You can't necessarily work out what to do as the audience. Sometimes you come to these projects, it's not really clear. You know, you don't sit there for 70 minutes and watch a film in a dark room. You sort of have to figure out what it is, what that storytelling experience is. But then sometimes they are very clear. There's often no narrative closure, which can be very frustrating for people who expect a beginning and a middle and end, except with a lot of these interactive projects there is. And the audience love to get involved, which can make creators very uneasy, except when they don't, which can also make creators very uneasy. So it's a hugely challenging area to be in, but it's a hugely exciting area to be in as a funder. You know, one of the biggest challenges for me was actually just writing the guidelines. Trying to draw boundaries around what this is and what we do and don't fund is hugely problematic. And what we're sort of doing is figuring it out as we go along, to be honest. And it's working. Because one of the things we're trying to do is keep it very, very open so that creators can say, this is the story I want to tell, and this is how I think I need to tell it. And then we go from there. And it means that if any of you are interested in applying, we're open to projects from all over the world, from creators all over the world. We're really interested in new kinds of platforms. We haven't funded a game yet, but we're absolutely open to that. One of the projects we funded last year was 18 Days in Egypt, where they actually built a platform called GroupStream, where people who witnessed the Egyptian revolution could pull in all their social media and tell their own stories. We've also got stuff using Popcorn, which is a JavaScript library. We've got a project that's going to work on Tumblr, the blogging platform. I mean, we're very, very open to all. We're also very interested in sort of live storytelling, creating a story as it happens. This is just a slide from TFI Interactive. We're going to do more of these because one of the things we've realized is in order to make this work really great and in order to sort of drive the field forward, we really have to sort of talk more and more and more about what we're doing and bring different industries together. So it's not just the small but rather wonderful documentary community talking to each other, but that we bring in digital journalism and people doing interaction design. So that's where we are at now. And I just want to leave you with this is a quote that someone from the New York Times who does a lot of multimedia work there and who I'm always really interested to see what publishing and journalism are doing to sort of keep audiences engaged. He always uses this quote when he's talking to audiences about what he's doing. Tell me and I will forget, show me and I may remember, involve me and I will understand. And I think that really is where we're coming from with the TFI New Media Fund, really trying to involve people in non-fiction storytelling. So please apply. We're going to be open again, I think, in the fall, in the autumn, and we welcome your applications. And if you need to contact me, Twitter's always best. I'm from the hip on Twitter, or icop@tribecafilminstitute.org. Thanks.
Thank you, Ingrid.